Welcome to the Mama Needs a Moment podcast. We are your hosts, Chrissy
and Cindy,
co-founders of Her Health Collective.
We are two moms obsessed with changing the way moms take care of themselves. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Yay! We're so excited to be here with two of our Her Circle moms. This is our mom chat. It's a newer type of conversation that we're having once a month where we bring a couple of our Her Circle moms together and just have a friendly little mom chat discussing a topic that is relevant to moms. And it's just kind of like we're sitting down, having a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, just chatting, very casual. Jennifer just held up her, I'm assuming it's coffee. It's 10:15 when we're recording this. If it's not, no judgment, you know.
Definitely coffee.
So today we are very happy to be here with Jennifer, whom you just heard speak, and Courtney. Courtney, go ahead and say hello so everyone can hear your voice.
Hi.
And Courtney, I'm actually going to turn it over to you because you texted me and you said, have you ever done a podcast or talked about this topic? And I was like, no, actually, I don't think we really have. So tell us what you texted me, what your topic suggestion was.
So I texted you and asked if you had ever done a podcast on the dark side of being a stay-at-home mom. And specifically in the moment, I was thinking about how we have to be somewhat dependent on a lot of factors, right? But specifically our partners who are working outside of the home and bringing in money, and how that can seem, I don't know, all kinds of things. It can seem scary and at times kind of like deprecating. I don't know, like having to be dependent on a man.
Gotcha.
Don't love it. Don't love it.
Yeah, absolutely. What does that bring up for you, Jennifer? Do you have any thoughts on?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it kind of goes against what we've been taught. Like, you're an independent woman, you need to be able to take care of yourself. Yeah, so the idea of having to be dependent on someone else, especially a guy, for your family's, basic needs, survival, income. Yeah, it makes you feel kind of bad. Like you don't want to be dependent on someone else. Especially when, you've been used to supporting yourself for many years up until having children. Yeah, it's definitely a hard adjustment to make, going from being an independent woman, an independent working woman, to someone who's reliant on someone else's income.
When we come to the decision to stay home with our kids, there's a lot that we take into consideration, and it doesn't fit for everybody. I stayed home with our kids until they started school. And then, of course, by that time, we started Her Health Collective, and now we have a business. What were some of the thoughts and ideas and things that you had to process through to make this decision with your partner? And how did you decide that it was you that stayed home and not him?
So when we had my oldest daughter, it was during COVID. And I wasn't comfortable with the idea of sending her to daycare in the middle of COVID. It just, that idea freaked me out. And then on top of that, when we had my son, like, the cost of daycare was just prohibitive. My husband and I discussed it and we were like, why would we pay for you to work? It didn't make financial sense for us to pay more for daycare than I was bringing in as an income from being a teacher, for all that says about what we pay teachers, of course.
Oh yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, and the hours of daycare weren't going to work out for either of us either. I had to be at work at 7. My husband worked a varying schedule. And so drop off wasn't even going to be early enough for us at the options that we had around. So yeah, there was a lot of factors for sure.
So then you had to take into consideration early drop off, which is another cost that you had to incur.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps late pickup, which is another cost.
Or every time you have a teacher workday or a sick kid, or how many times there's they don't do them anymore, but early release days or, all these different things that come up with particularly school as the kids get older. But that's going to be a factor too that makes it really hard to manage a job in addition to having a kid, a traditional 9 to 5 job in particular.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a sick kid home right now, and that's why I'm hiding outside.
With your adorable hat that's on.
Thank you.
And you've already mentioned that you're a teacher. And we know that teachers, we're recording from North Carolina, that teachers specifically in North Carolina don't get paid very well. And I'm sure that that was part of the decision-making process in you staying home versus him staying home. Is that correct?
It was. Yes. My husband got paid much better than a teacher gets paid. So it made sense that he was going to be the one to continue to work. I definitely could not have supported the four of us off of what I was making on my amazing teacher income.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm sure people do it. And I tip my hat to those people, because that's the stress of having to support a family on that income's got to be immeasurable.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that in just a minute, like the financial burden of going down to one income. But I'd like to hear from Courtney on answering the question that I asked, because I'm super interested.
So our situation was a bit different going in. So I had a child when I married my husband. And I had been a single mom supporting both of us for a few years, several years. After we got married and I got pregnant with my second, I was actually working for a nonprofit that supports new mothers and in the perinatal field. And they were only going to give me 3 weeks unpaid maternity leave. And this is an international nonprofit that literally advocates for mothers' rights. And I just didn't feel good about that. So our plan was for me to take an extended maternity leave in late 2019 and then find something different in 2020. And we all know what happened in early 2020. So then I had one school-aged kiddo who was schooling from home and a newborn when the pandemic hit. And I couldn't find something new in that moment. And so I transitioned to being a stay-at-home mom and a homeschooling mom for a bit. And then we decided to have our third. And after that, as Jennifer said, like it just didn't make financial sense for me. I mean, my background is in nonprofits, and as with teachers, like you're not making a ton of money, not to mention the gender gap in income. My husband was making a lot more than me when I left my established position. So me trying to find something new, there's no way I could have supported all 5 of us on that type of income.
Yeah, you raise a lot of interesting points with that, Courtney. First, we would often hear from so many people that it's a privilege to be able to stay at home, that, we're in this financial position because there's a partner that is able to support the family and you're able to stay at home. What feeling does that leave with you when people say that?
I feel a lot of things when people say that. Like,
Me too.
I do recognize my privilege. I am a white, cisgender, heterosexual woman. I have privilege and I recognize that and I'm grateful for that. I do feel grateful to be able to stay home with my children. I was not able to do that with my oldest when she was young, and I feel like I missed a lot. So I was excited, like, oh, I get to be the one doing things with them. But also, people don't realize that there's a lot to it. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't realize when I was a working mom, I would have said things like that in my head, not out loud.
yeah.
But it does also, I don't know, guilt is what came up like initially. It's like, oh, I should feel so happy and blessed and privileged and lucky to be home all the time. But I don't feel that way all the time.
On the same token, I guess what people say in response to that, we hear a lot that the statistics of, and I should have pulled them up so I could actually cite something, but the amount of hours that a stay-at-home mom works, and they like calculated out the financial contribution that it is to the family. And it was something like $130,000 or something. Like it was a huge amount, like that you're contributing to your family, and the time, and the amount of hours that you put in, and the meals that you cook, and all the things that you do to keep your child out of daycare, and you are financially contributing to your family. What feeling does that leave you with? Do you internalize that, or is there like a barrier to absorbing that message?
For me, there was a barrier to absorbing that message. What do you all think?
Oh, there's a barrier for sure, because there's no tangible that you're bringing in. There's no check deposited in your account that you can, say you're accountable for. I mean, as a stay-at-home mom, I don't even have contributions to my retirement account that I'm able to make. And that's super frustrating.
Yeah. And to piggyback on what Jennifer said, my husband and I are fine, right? But I do have this catastrophe mentality sometimes. Like, what if something happened? What if, I don't know, he ran off with a 20-year-old? Not going to happen. But, I don't know. I think about these things, and you're right. I don't have a safety net that's mine. I don't have a nest egg that's like just mine. And it's not like he's hoarding the money away somewhere, but it still feels, like he's the one bringing it in. So I don't know. I worry about these things. Or what if, worst case scenario, something were to physically happen to him? Like what does that look like? What happens? I don't even know how a lot of the bills get paid. Is that bad?
No, not at all.
It's a big fear. And I think that's the situation in a lot of relationships, where one person pays the bills and knows what card is on what and what bill pay everything is set up to and attached to. And I'm with you, Courtney. That's a constant fear and thought in my mind as someone prone to anxiety. So you're definitely not alone in that. And that's catastrophizing.
My husband lost his job shortly after we had our second child. And so that was incredibly stressful to be reliant on that single source of income. And all of a sudden it's not there. I mean, that's another scary factor. What do you do when that single income is suddenly gone?
All of the things that you said, I 100% agree with. It was difficult for me to go out and buy things that we even needed because I didn't know if I could, not permission wise, but how our bank account was looking and whatnot. Yeah. It was also the separation of asking him to do things around the house. Like when I was really staying home, not, working the business along with, also having the kids at home. But when they were home 100% of the time, he would come home from work and would be tired. And I felt like I had to pick up on everything, whereas it wasn't an argument, but I think something that we would discuss a lot was I didn't shut it off and he got to shut off from work, but it was still work for me. And plus doing work around the house was hard because then that meant that the kids were back on me. And that was my job throughout the entire week. Like I never had a break.
Yeah.
Is that what you all are like too?
Oh, 100%.
It's hard to separate all of that.
100%. Yeah. Even when my husband wants to go out and mow the lawn or do something to contribute to the household that involves me taking care of the kids on a Saturday or when he's home, I am like, please no, please no, don't leave me with them again. I've had them all week in the middle of the night. You never clock out.
Right.
Yep. It's 24/7. And I got really bad about, well, this is my job. This is my job. My job is to watch the kids. My job is to keep the house clean. My job is to cook the meals. And so where we had like this division of labor, household labor, when I was working outside the home, that all went out the window. Because I take responsibility for part of that. And then, oh no, this is my job. This is my job. But then my job now is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
This episode is sponsored by Her Circle, the supportive and welcoming community for moms created by Her Health Collective.
Her Circle is a welcoming and supportive community for moms who are passionate about making change for themselves, their families, the community, and the world. Together, this village of women are revolutionizing the way moms take care of themselves.
From an active, private online community and the incredible daily chats hosted there, to our many gatherings, including support groups, Mom's Night Out, volunteer opportunities, book club, family adventures, coffee chats, and so much more. We love providing moms the chance to connect and create authentic relationships with one another.
The network of experts in Her Circle are a phenomenal resource and provide great learning experiences for moms on topics ranging from women's health to parenting. We cover the issues that matter to moms the most, from virtual expert Q&As to one-on-one wellness minute consultations and support groups. We are committed to getting moms in front of the information, experts, and support they need most.
To learn more about Her Circle, head to www.herhealthcollective.com. We have a limited number of spaces and the doors only open a few times a year. So be sure to add your name to the no obligation waitlist so you are the first to know when the doors officially reopen.
And yeah, even like the drive, like he gets to drive. I mean, he drops our oldest off every day, but between school and the office, he's alone in a car. How luxurious.
Magical time right there.
Like, there's no one else with him. And walking from, like, he works downtown, so he gets to walk alone downtown between the parking garage. This is silly, right? It's a few minutes, but it's more minutes than we get.
Absolutely. And heaven forbid they get to go out of town for work. Oh my gosh. I get so jealous on those the rare occasions that my husband goes out of town for work. But when he does, I am like, you stayed in a hotel with children. You went out to dinner.
Yes. My husband's gone 1 week a month. So one Monday through Friday, every single month, he's gone, and I am solo parenting, which is a whole other challenge. But yes, I get so mad. Like, you were able to sleep alone in a hotel, and you got to eat, and you got to, like, choose who you had dinner with and where and what time. And
I had a very small window of time where I would consider myself a stay-at-home mom when my daughter was first born. And one of the things that I would consider the darkest side of stay-at-home mom life and the biggest struggle for me was the feeling of a loss of identity. And I feel like that happens for all moms to some degree. But I think for a lot of moms, when they have their baby and then they go back to work, there's a return of some sense of prior life, prior normalcy, and a return to yourself in some way. And I think that as a stay-at-home mom, from what I've seen in my own experience and talking to other moms, and you guys share if this feels the same for you, but that was a really big struggle, this loss of identity and not really knowing who I was in the world and in this space around me anymore. Did you feel that?
oh yeah,
They're both nodding because you guys can only
Yeah.
hear.
I think we're processing. I think everyone's kind of processing that because the loss of identity is for real. I mean, everything overtakes you that is focused on the kids. Like, that becomes your one and only thing. And I think that when you are a stay-at-home mom and you're looking at people who work, you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds really hard. But when you're a stay-at-home mom, it's really hard. Like, I don't think people realize how hard it really is. So, looking at both sides, it's difficult. And there was definitely a loss of identity to where, we started Her Health Collective, Christy and I did, because we recognized all the things that moms aren't getting, I guess, is a big part of it. And we were trying to give them that outlet. What about you all?
100%. I previously really identified myself by my career, by what I did for a living. So once you take that away, it's like, well, who am I now? And the answer to that is I'm a mom, but it's frustrating to have that be your entire identity. There's more parts to you than being a mom. You want to have be a friend. You want to have an artistic outlet. You need more than just identifying as a mom to feel completely fulfilled and feel like you have an identity outside of your children.
You make a really interesting point too, Jennifer, when you said that you identified as your job as a teacher. And I think that's true for most of us, but that's so culturally influenced. Like in our society, you go to a party and the first question out of anybody's mouth after they ask your name is, what do you do? And like that's such a integral part of our culture. And I think that in and of itself is problematic, because I think every person in our society is so much more than our job, right? But it is such a core piece of how we identify ourselves and how we relate to other people. And so I think that's a really interesting point. I remember reading a book about, I don't know, like having great conversations with people or something. And it really advocated against that question, asking, what do you do? Because there are so many other layers. And you're right, we are a mom and we are a friend, but our society tells us that that work role that we play is so important. It's the number one thing that people want to know about us. So of course that's going to be like a hit to our identity. Of course that's going to feel like a blow and kind of leave us with this question of who we are and how we fit in this landscape of our world. So I hate that question. Let's change it.
I totally hate that question because it's always followed up or frequently followed up. Do you work or do you stay at home? And
yes.
that's the one that it was really a knife to the heart, because I usually say, yes, I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as a stay-at-home mom. That is work. Those two are not mutually exclusive. One's just paid and the other is not.
Paid in hugs and slobbery kisses.
Right.
And tears, all the tears. Courtney, how about you?
Yeah, well, like you said, our society tends to focus on what are you contributing? What are you contributing? Like if you're not working in I don't know, society's definition of a worthwhile position, I don't know, it's a blow to my self-esteem and my self-worth. And that plays in my head a lot. Like I should be contributing to society or contributing to the world. And I am raising amazing humans. But like Jennifer said, like, I don't know, that look, there's a look.
Yes, there's a look.
There's a look.
There is a look
that you get when people ask, oh, what do you do? I'm a stay-at-home mom. There's a look. Or an, oh.
Or there's oh, that must be so nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
There's an assumption. Yeah.
Do you think that would be different if stay-at-home moms got paid? Do you think we would look at ourselves as contributing more, with more of a value, with more of an identity, if we were actually getting paid?
That's a good question. I think I would feel better about it if I was, bringing income to my family, but I don't know, society, they might still continue to look down on somebody like, well, what are they doing to earn that? Like, yep. I think there's still this idea that stay-at-home moms are sitting on the couch eating bonbons and watching soap operas, as opposed to, doing actual very difficult work all day.
Mm-hmm. Emotional coaching of the kids, physically coaching them, taking them places. There's just
mental labor.
Yeah, endless lists of things to do.
I'm a short order line cook. Like I never leave my kitchen unless it's to go to the laundry room.
Right. And how much throughout the day are your hands wet? Like you have to wash your hands like a bazillion times a day. My hands were always wet.
Well, I think there's also this expectation, if you're a stay-at-home mom, that it's not just the parenting you're doing, it's also the homemaking. So if you're staying at home, you're also cleaning, you're also cooking, you're also grocery shopping, you're also taking care of ordering the light bulbs. And, if we look at the book Fair Play, you're holding so many of those cards. Whereas if in a house where there are two people working, when they both come home, they're probably splitting those cards up, hopefully a little more fairly. Even then, it's still not fair. Like, we know that most probably falls in the hands of a mom, but it's so different when you're a stay-at-home. There's like this added extra expectation, whether it's from your partner or the kids, because they're so used to seeing you all day, every day. There's just this added layer of, you're not just taking care of the kids, you're also taking care of the house and the family life and the calendar and just everything as a unit. And I think that's really overwhelming to not have a partner to tag in those efforts of the house. So I think that's a struggle. Now, we are getting ready to wrap up, and I don't want to leave this episode feeling really like super doom and gloom. So I would like to leave on just like a slightly more uplifting note. So I guess while this is looking at the dark side of being a stay-at-home mom, and there are a lot of struggles, I do feel like we are starting to hear more people say things like what I mentioned earlier. If they were receiving a salary, this is what stay-at-home moms are contributing to their family and society. And being a stay-at-home mom is one of the hardest jobs there is out there. Like, there are more of this messaging out there. What type of message would you want to add to that? What is a messaging about stay-at-home mom, or maybe a misperception about stay-at-home mom life and role and job that you would want to share with the world?
That's a hard one.
That is a hard one.
That's hard. I do think that we are doing super important work. I do think that being with your children and getting to contribute to who they are fundamentally in such a big way is a beautiful, amazing, wonderful thing. And I do want other stay-at-home moms to feel that, even if I don't always internalize it. Jennifer, you're doing a beautiful job and you're raising amazing humans, and your
Thank
work
you.
is worthwhile.
Thank you. You as well, Courtney. You as well. Yeah, just piggybacking off what Courtney just said, I would just want people to understand that we do work, and we do important work, because what could be more important than raising up the next generation of good people, of leaders, of people who are well adjusted, hopefully, and people who will hopefully contribute to society in positive ways. And I'm not at all saying that working parents don't do that, because of course they do. But we get such a hands-on effort in shaping our kids in a way that not everyone has the time and the energy of doing.
I think that I would want to add that stay-at-home moms are so much more than moms. And I think that's going back to the conversation about how we identify with our job. And, when you are meeting someone and they do say, I'm a stay-at-home mom, that's an opportunity to find out how they make their children's life magical every single day. And, what great lessons on being a great parent you can maybe impart from them, because they're doing it 24/7. They've got a lot of practice. Like, let's learn something from them. And also, it's a great opportunity to ask them something about completely nothing related to motherhood, because there are so much other layers to them. Just because they're a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean that's all that they are. So, what are their hobbies or passions or stuff that they love to do outside of raising their kids? Because I think that when we focus on that part of a person, we can learn so much more about them and see what a beautiful, well-rounded individual they are. So that would be my message. How about you, Cindy?
My parting message to the moms out there, especially to the moms that are staying at home, is that even though you are not, quote unquote, in the workforce, meaning like out at a job, it does not mean that you're not building immense, extraordinary skills that are contributing in an immense, extraordinary way. So when and if you decide to go back out to an outside job outside of the home, you will have a lot of gifts to offer. And the other thing would be, if you are deciding to become a stay-at-home mom, one of the things that I wish I had done with my husband prior to us bringing a child in the world and me saying, okay, I want to stay home with our child, is to sit down and designate and talk through the different roles to make sure that they're more clear. For us and our family, it was just, okay, I'm taking on all the household tasks. Okay, but that goes into a lot of little tiny things that, don't have labels and that you might automatically put on yourself to do. So have that talk, have that discussion with your partner, before you make the decision to stay home.
Thank you so much, Jennifer and Courtney, for diving into what can be a difficult conversation. I feel, so thanks for being honest and open and sharing. And thank you for the great idea, Courtney.
Yes.
Thank you.
We've enjoyed hanging out with you today, friend. We hope you got to finally enjoy a hot cup of coffee as you listened. Make sure you follow us so you're the first to know when we drop a new episode.
If you've enjoyed your time with us, let us know by leaving a review. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, stay true to you.